So one of the other additions that we added was this Essential series. There's a full symphony series, so more for the the composer world, or honestly, if you're trying to make trap music, for example. Some really good horns here. So some tubas here. But with basically Komplete 11, we've introduced these essential parts of these larger libraries. So there's this full symphony series of brass, strings, woodwinds, where you get these very high quality sampled instruments that really honestly mimic a full orchestra. The way that they were recorded, depending on how many notes you're playing on the key, the microphone position changes in the recording. So you get these extremely authentic sounding instruments. But basically the essential version of it, you have, there we go. You basically have not as many fancy articulations like these little octave run-ups. You kind of have the core elements that you would need when using these libraries in terms of articulation. And honestly, this brass, strings, and woodwinds have replaced my Contact factory library horns and strings. With the essentials, these are basically all that I need. Let me just load up this quickly. But basically the idea is the keyboard I have here, the Komplete control, it syncs with all of my Komplete library, even third-party vendors like Arturia, Yuhi. The reason I want to switch this is that there's a light guide on here that basically tells me what instruments I'm playing. So once this loads, and switch the output. There we go. So on here, it's basically sectioned off. I have red, yellow, green, and blue, and they each represent a different part of the fuller ensemble. So if I have trumpets, for example, French horns, trombones, but I also have articulation switches, so. So some really good horn sounds. So let me load up something quickly. So I got these chord sets that I can use that basically just play pre-made chord progressions. So can anybody name this movie? Exactly. Yeah, it's one of the chord sets on here. So it's a lot of fun to play. You can arpeggiate it too, make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. So you can get some pirates in here. So yeah, there's the brass. They sound extremely good. There's a lot of different sounds. We have that's the brass solo. We have the string ensemble too. Oh. But on here I can use my mod wheel to basically increase this dynamics knob here. Whereas if you're playing an actual instrument like a trumpet or trombone, when you play the note, you can increase the amount of air you're blowing through the instrument or decreasing it. So you get these swells in volume, essentially. If you're just using a MIDI keyboard, you really can't do that. So with this mod wheel, I can be more expressive with what I'm playing. So I could play chords, for example. Actually, we'll do another, my favorite chord set. next wedding or or your graduation. You know, I charge $2,000 a note. Yeah. Yeah. So again, there's the strings. They sound very organic. I mean, it's just more, you know, behind the scenes, the sampling side of things. But again, you know, when you typically have a sampled instrument like a string or a brass sound, you play one note and it's just one take of, you know, that how they sampled it that one time. If you start playing more and more notes, it's the same take. So it doesn't sound as organic. But with these, they basically recorded, you know, each note basically I think it's like 20 times. So every time you play a note, it's actually a different recording. So, you know, if someone actually playing an instrument, you're not going to play the note the exact same every single time. It's going to be a little bit different. So with this, you get that realistic sound. And even if you start playing more and more notes, you know, if you play 10 notes on the keyboard, in the recording, it will change which microphone that they're using. So, you know, again, it just really mimics an authentic, you know, authentic orchestra. Then we have the Woodwind ensemble. Whoop. Again, just really good sounding, good string libraries. You know, again, you can switch the articulation on here. So like round robin staccato, for example, you can see it switches. So it's just cycling through all the different takes. So again, each one doesn't sound the exact same every time. I know they sound very similar, but just trust me, each one is these are really good players playing it, so it just sounds that good. But again, the idea is that, you know, it sounds very natural. It doesn't sound too, you know, just sample-based. Now, another element that I've really started to add to my arsenal is this piano called una corda. You know, for those of you who have used Komplete before, you're probably asking, I don't need another piano. I have probably 20 pianos already. What's so special about this one? Well, let me tell you. It's actually a very unique piano. And again, I'm not just saying that. And the reason why is they actually built this piano. It was built by this guy, Niels Fromm, or conceptualized by him. But what makes this different is that, you know, typically on a piano you have 3 strings that when the hammer hits it, it's hitting all 3 strings, so you can get these very loud sounds. But with this, una corda literally means one string, one note. So with this, there's actually one string per note, so you get this very soft and very natural sounding piano. You can hear it's pretty, you know, it sounds a little bit different. But what's great about having this in you know, software form is there's actually a lot of stuff I can change about it. So what's fun is I can actually change fabric. So they actually have these physical inserts. So when the hammer hits the string, there's a piece of fabric that's put between it. So I can cycle between cotton, felt, leather, pleather. Still don't know what pleather is. Cotton, silk, all sorts of stuff. So each one sounds a little bit different. So. Cotton, leather. add different things like some ambiance. So one of my favorites on here, there's a lot of them, but Rainy Sunday. Let's increase it a little bit. So you got a nice little rainy atmosphere in the background. It's quite beautiful. I use this as like a sound generator when I'm trying to sleep. Just keep the Rainy Sunday on. But again, I can do other things like add pianist things like, if they have a piano bench or it's in a wood area, you're going to hear creaking. You'll hear pedals move. So you got the idea with it. It's just there's a lot of cool things you can, make it, use it as your intro. A bunch of other things. I mean, reverbs, tuning, adding resonance, effects as well. So if I want to have this sound like it's coming through a 20s radio set. A lot of cool things you can do. What are all these things? Yeah, I mean, echo plates, reverbs. It's just a lot of customization that you can do with it. So it's not necessarily just a standard piano. Even just the different presets on here. Very unique tone, even again, just the different presets on here. You get some cool elements out of it. So again, yeah, Una Corda is, honestly, it's been one of my go-to pianos recently. I mean, I still use a lot of the other ones like the Giants, the Maverick, Gentleman. They're all just a little bit different, but Una Corda is actually it's very unique. A fun story with that, though, is I was driving in my car listening to Spotify, and I heard a song come on, and I was like, wow, that really sounds like Una Corda. Like it sounded exactly like that. And I looked, and it was Niels Fromm playing it. So it's that recognizable, and just that different. It's not another piano. So that's a fun one. Let's do this one.